Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of the Connect the Dots Roundtable, our discussion forum for all things business, marketing and tech. Today we're diving into the tech side and focusing in on the rapidly changing world of service via websites for businesses using Klaviyo and Shopify. Well, Shopify at the moment anyway, it's going to be rolled out across multiple platforms and I can't wait to see where that is going to go. So it's something we've been excited to talk about for a while, and I'm glad we're finally making today's talk happen. Joining us today from Klaviyo, we have Calma and Ben Panther, and of course, Marty and I from Connect the Dots, and we are going to be running through Klaviyo's latest launch, KService. Well, what is it? How is it going to impact the experience and expectation that a customer has of your business? And most importantly, how can you keep up with the changes? So before we dive in, Ben, Casta, tell us a little about yourselves and your role in bringing KService to the market.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. So my name's Casta. I've been at Klaviyo for about a little over 9.5 months now. I'm a partner account manager and have 45 agencies across my territory in the ANZ region, and have the pleasure of Connect the Dots being one of those agencies. So my role in bring KService to life is making sure that agencies like yourselves really understand our product and are able to communicate that out to our customers. So really keen to talk more about it today.
Awesome. Over to you, Ben. And Ben.
Yeah, no, and it's great as always to kind of chat to you guys. Well, I was really excited to walk through it earlier, but my role at Klaviyo really much is around getting customers and our partners across our new products. So I'm very much in the weeds of the platform every single day, nerding out on all the tech. So all that is very much my world. And KService is something that I think has been in the works for a long time now. And kind of the response so far from the market has been extremely positive. And I think it's kind of fixing that gap, which a lot of people have seen. I'm excited to kind of talk about it today, but also then kind of really show those real world examples which people can use it.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and really glad that you're with us today. Things seem to be shifting faster than ever as far as customer services on site is concerned. So let's just jump into it. What is it, and why is KService such a significant step towards how brands are going to be utilizing both their websites and Klaviyo to enhance customer experience? Ben, mate, let you take the lead on that one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So I think like with many things around service, it's been an industry hasn't really been changed much in a while now. And obviously there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in terms of AI, which has kind of come in and changed the way that's kind of done. And I think for a while, Klaviyo has been looking at this as we took this massive pivot earlier this year from being very much an email platform and a platform for marketing, as we've already had email and SMS for a while now, to really kind of step into the realm of being a CRM. Being a CRM, one of the biggest parts is you need to be able to go full life cycle. And full life cycle includes not only acquiring a customer and marketing to it and selling and retaining the customer as well, but how do you actually then service a customer? Like what about inquiries? What about issues that they have? What does that then look like throughout the customer journey? And so what our approach was what would Klaviyo look like taking on service for the very first time? And we kind of came to the realization that it was kind of three key areas. One was self-service, and that's probably one of the most exciting ones, which is that customer hub. And we'll probably show an example probably in this session today as well. And that's essentially going on the Shopify experience, replacing that front end of accounts and giving customers a real hub to manage. Second is then what happens when someone has a question, and that is then the AI agent aspect of that, which is 24/7, always on support. And then thirdly is then help desk. So, okay, what happens when someone actually needs to speak to a human? How can actual service things be set up within Klaviyo and use all the data that's already in that platform to then reference and engage with customers? And so really today we have three core products which have now gone live that kind of build up that service offering suite directly.
Yeah, so one of the big things I think in terms of the positioning for a platform that's been so significant over the last few months, and hopefully more so now with service and market, is that people used to just talk about Klaviyo as, it's how I send my emails. And that hasn't been true for a long time, or not solely true for a long time. But in terms of data utilization was always kind of the understated aspect of the platform, or hard to put a value on, particularly as well. Like, how do you charge for what it's capable of when it's capable of so much? The service element coming into the fray, I think, is really important for how businesses perceive the platform and how much time they will be spending in it, either to set up self-service and allow customers to have that personalized experience. So some of the stuff we've been building so far is very much based around this is what you see if you're signed in and you meet this segment. This is how we'll integrate GrowWave or loyalty or something like that, or reviews as an example, to that experience, kind of the self-service layer living over the top. But the amount of time customer service will be able to spend in platform working alongside marketing, as opposed to inheriting marketing's kind of efforts, or the good and bad side of what they do on site or through channels, I think is a real big consolidation for how businesses perceive what you do as well. Like, it has a tangible impact on what the attribution off the back, just like a pop-up or a flyer, being able to attribute sales, being able to say, yes, we rerouted this many tickets, or yes, you can still talk to a human. You haven't gone all in on one camp or the other. Like, it's not completely self-service and outdated, and it's not completely done for you either.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, just to add to that, like, I feel like a lot of customers these days, a lot of businesses are now trying to pivot array how they can really improve their customer service, whether that's for AI agents, whether it's through, as simple as the customer hub product that Ben mentioned. So I think now that Klaviyo has got products that can help in that respect, this is kind of like the last thing that makes us a true CRM, like give us CRM capabilities. And we're trying, and Marty, you mentioned before around like your data, like that, like yes, email, SMS, that's the actual execution of how you actually reach out to customers. But where we're kind of like, I guess, repositioning Klaviyo is, well, we want you to empower your data, actually understand who your customers are engaging you with. And then also, how do you service that? Is that going to be through SMS, or is that going to be through Customer Hub? And I think that's where I've really enjoyed working at Klaviyo the past 9 months, is like that pivot towards kind of like data empowerment, like actually understanding how you actually want to engage with end users. And that's where the power of KService comes in.
Yeah, cool. I love it so far. Like, as far as a first setup and deployment, also the customer hub element initially seems very familiar, as it all kind of just looks like really advanced pop-ups as far as how it looks and what you can do with it. But the fact that you can plug it into other apps that you're using within your business is a pretty significant step in terms of showing people what it's capable of and letting them run with it. The reaction to it is so much different to what people, you typically get people saying, I either love or hate pop-up, as an example. But the fact that you can self-service with a degree or a massive degree of personalization off the back of it to support people either reaching the contact page, activating a discount or an offer that's unique to them, showing them their favorite product, or giving them their next potential product they might purchase, I think is a huge step forward to how people interact with businesses. The thing I've likened it most to, that I think is potentially going to come to fruition, is that if you have this on site, you're effectively, either whether you're choosing to go with Customer Hub, whether you're going to add in AI agent, or whether you're going to bring in either your existing service team from any other app, or just to integrate, or live chat to come in and start using KService instead, is that it's closing the gap between what retail is when you walk into a physical store and you see someone that works there and they know who you are and they greet you like they know you. It's almost a digital equivalent of that, and it closes that gap significantly, I think, which is really important for businesses when you're trying to treat your returning customer like a good customer.
Yeah, and that's the big part with this as well, Marty, is like, we're looking into, and I think about this all the time, is like, whenever I go back to a storefront, obviously there's things that have been retained based off my cookies, like I might have items still in basket, or I might have things, my favorites, and that's about it. And like, it will know it's not giving a pop-up because I've already opted in. And like, that's the level of like personalization today. And obviously there's some amazing partners of ours like Nosto, which can take things a lot further as well. But from an actual accounts experience, an actual like actual loyal member of a brand, or someone who's a frequent purchaser, what's that kind of picked up and replaced with? And that's kind of where we think Customer Hub is really positioned, is that piece there. But then, like you said, from an AI agent standpoint, is it's really trained on two things, the business and Klaviyo. And so the ability for it to then reference and know who you are and pick up context is probably one of the biggest things. And what I'm most excited for is when it goes outside of web chat. And that's one, if you haven't tried it out yet, use an AI agent on emails. And like today, I actually just sent an email to one of my favorite brands because I have a faulty product. It's actually like a homeware brand for a cook pan. And I went on the website, and they don't have a live chat, but they have a text box to fill out. And I filled it out, and it says I'll get an email back in about 2 to 3 working days. And so I have to wait 2 to 3 working days for someone to go check my thing, actual ticket, think about it, go through, find context where an AI agent, and this is just kind of the baseline now, the level of it is, oh, great, I know the context, I know who Ben is, I know his order, I can just simply find the actual order details and context of the question and answer that now.
Yes.
And how many times have people had that experience of filling out a contact submission form on site, and even if it says come back to you in 2 to 3 days, never getting a response? And so that level of trust is just completely trashed right from the outset. So I suppose, Ben, we've talked a little bit about it, and I know you've got access to a little bit of resource there. Is there anything that you wanted to potentially show us in a little bit of a dive, whether the slides or walkthrough or anything like that, in and around Customer Hub, Customer Agent, or Help Desk to help people get a little bit more of an understanding of the capabilities?
Yeah. Let me bring it up right now, and I'll share my screen, and we can jump into a little demo of it. Is that appearing for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. So this is our little demo environment here. And so this is built on Shopify as well to kind of give the most accurate representation of it. But you can see here over the top right is the account experience. And this is very much the default experience for everyone when they turn it on. But what we've done is we've gone ahead and replaced that experience with Customer Hub. And you'll see this little drawer banner that comes over. And you're welcomed first to the For You page. And one thing to keep in mind, this is very much a demo environment. It's not as pretty as some of the brands will be able to design, or what Connect the Dots could as well. But you'll see here kind of offers and insights that are only for me. So, you can see at the very top here, I actually have a coupon available, and I can click into that, and I actually can see that I have one available for a welcome one, and I can jump in there and immediately access that coupon. Now that's building off the Klaviyo unique coupons which can be created per profile. So, if you have ones for your loyal customers or your champions, this can be really much customized per user as well, directly in Customer Hub. Moving on from there is then these other content blocks. So full collection, trying to get me to opt in for SMS, also a discount across another item as well. But down here you have like recently viewed, your favorites, and then your top picks as well. And these are all intent based off what I'm doing on this website today. But one of my favorite ones is actually favorites. If I was to just go around and jump in and shop to some of the products here today. So we go into accessories, and I jumped into this crossbody sling, and I go added to cart. We actually have this beautiful little UI that's built out down here around all your favorites, which you can directly then access in here. And then from there, you can add those straight to cart. So if I wanted to jump in and add this t-shirt, I go large and build that on. Now, the exciting thing from a marketer standpoint is this is now a wish list or a favorites flow, which you could build out in Klaviyo directly today. So that's a trigger, and then dynamic actual data, which you could pull through into your emails directly for customers. And then all this is then ability for people to shop as they need to as well. So top picks, things I want to jump into as well. All at my fingertips, ready for the customer.
Yeah, it's quite a change, isn't it? And then can I just check as well with that wish listing or favoriting that you've got as a demo there, is that native to KService and Customer Hub as opposed to needing to integrate with any other app?
Yeah, so right now it's native. I know we are looking at kind of adding integration through some other wish partners as well, but we've built out a very much a base one here, which simply all you need to do for Customer Hub setup for customers is embed the Shopify app on the Klaviyo website, and then simply on your product pages, add the favorites button for this then to be able to dynamically pull through into here.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Man, just the application for when people, this is the first time I've seen it, by the way, and had a proper play with it. But even seeing that, I know some businesses that I've got relationships with that have frequent repeat cycles of purchasing, things like printer cartridges and stuff like that, where, just having direct access like that, so good. Not having to get on site, search for it.
Exactly. And one of the big parts on top of this as well was then once you're off the For You page, you then have your orders area. And then so this natively pulls all that straight from Shopify. So I can see I've got some delivered, some are shipped, some have just been placed. And then within here, I can then see what I've ordered and when I've ordered it as well. And depending on, and this is one thing Marty was talking about, the depth of the integrations you have turned on. So if you have a shipping carrier that provides like real-time updates, that could feed through into here as well. For example, what that means, if I went on this website on the day that this item was out for delivery, it would actually dynamically pull through and show on the For You page as well to kind of keep me up to date and relevant. And secondly to that, if I had a return provider, you'd see a third option here saying start return all within Customer Hub. And so it's really looking at that experience with customers and trying to give them as much of the tooling as possible to do things on the fly. Because I think everyone here can agree, like if you have to start a return by emailing support, it's going to be like, okay, this is going to be at least 2 to 3 emails before I actually get a return label and get things started as well. So giving that control back into one space is really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's so cool. The order and the return and the tracking component's phenomenal just for any query elimination before you even start talking about needing an agent to help you with it. That self-service piece really does make good sense in that respect. And how much better is that than trying to deal with, your contact form, your 2 to 3 day turnaround or whatever it might be on getting an answer. And then I've seen people as well with where they can't integrate returns directly, but they'll link to it off the home screen from Customer Hub as well, just to be like, hey, if you need a return, here's where you can get it. Or they've dropped it into their FAQs as well. So it is all there for people. And one of the things that I really like additionally to having that info there is just that this doesn't require script to be dropped into site in all these different places or a myriad of apps just to achieve an outcome that could otherwise be done under one central resource. Like it is a lot easier to deploy through your site, and you can customize an experience, you can provide excellent service, but you don't need to go and use 4 or 5 or 6 different individual apps. Hopefully they talk to each other, and then you've got to talk to a dev to get them sitting on site and looking good as well.
That's awesome. My job as the 50-year-old plus in the room is to ask the dumb questions, because there's going to be plenty of people that are thinking like me. And maybe a little leading question, but does somebody need to have a pre-existing account with that Shopify store and be logged in for this to appear?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Glenn. So what we've done is we've looked at this and being as the entire, all the accounts experience is still Shopify accounts. So everyone will kind of, if you have the same Shopify Shop Pay account, you'll use that kind of the login for everywhere. But it doesn't mean you can't access Customer Hub without logging into that particular brand's account. And so with that, what that means is you can still have your content blocks in here appear. You can also still do chat. You can still do favorites as well. And one thing, I don't know if we were talking about this last time, Marty, but what I've come to find out as well is you can still trigger favorites flows even for people who haven't created an account. As long as they've opted into email marketing, we'll still tie all that data together in Klaviyo. So we can really trigger that flow for either customers with a account or without. Because we'll still have that data and tied to that Klaviyo profile.
So the Boomer Glenn explanation is it's smart enough to know that you've come back to the site without you being logged in, even if you don't have an account, and start personalizing some of the things that are displayed.
And then I think like the last kind of piece of it is then, now I'll just jump in quickly, profile. This is essentially what you expect is you can edit your details all natively within here as well. One thing I'd say is today it's quite limited. This is one of the growth areas that we want to build in. Essentially, if I was to click edit like a shipping address, this will simply just kick you into the back end of Shopify. We want to bring that into the front end. That's probably something for Q4 of 2026. But the next area really is that live chat. So when you flick over here, you can turn on things like FAQs directly as well. And again, you'll see this is always top of mind because I have it on the background there. But if I was to jump in and say, what is your return policy? This will automatically give an automated response, which you can set up straight away. But then I can also as well jump in and ask a question into here. So I can say, tell me about product. And so that's what's going to do is it will go and reference and find information on that product here. And so this should pull directly through from the storefront as well. And so it's going to give me a brief overview of what it is. And it's also going to give me a CTA. And so that's one of the things you can do as well is actually sell from the AI agent. And it will dynamically be able to be tracked as well. And you'll be able to associate this. in the back end of Klaviyo, like what revenue has been driven from AI agent directly as well. But then, one of the things that happens is, if let's say I want to speak to a human, you can just say speak to a human, and that will essentially just say that the inquiry can't be answered. And then that is where you can connect me directly with an agent. And that could either be the Klaviyo help desk, which we probably could jump into and show as well. Or that could be a Gorgeous or a Zendesk or a third-party one, which that ticket would then be handed off directly to those platforms.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So it's the right blend of not trying to go all in on it's completely AI, or it still requires a human for every single interaction, because there are some things you do add into your website that sound like great ideas at the time, and they turn out to be a burden for your team to be able to manage. I think the positioning around avoiding ticket closure and avoiding handoff to human for that agent sounded like something that was a really strong positioning point, that yes, you've got the ability to prevent somebody to need to jump in here, but it can also sell as well. And when you're talking to businesses around what value does this bring, or how do I effectively charge for a product like this, it's so much easier to have that conversation when the conversation includes, yes, it can sell stuff, as opposed to just, hey, it might halve the number of tickets, or you might reduce tickets by 20% or something like that for your customer care team to take care of.
Yeah, it is going to be quite amazing. I think the help desk one in particular is interesting. I was actually messing around with it today and actually testing out, because with the AI agent that's available across web chat, SMS, and email today, it will come to WhatsApp next, and then we'll add more channels later on. While on the help desk side, you have obviously email, WhatsApp, email, SMS, web chat, WhatsApp, but then you also have Instagram DMs in there today. And then we'll add more channels like Facebook and TikTok. And the idea is that the agent will then come across to all those platforms in the near future as well. And even one of the biggest ones around just having, for a business being able to consolidate all the channels into help desk today is amazing, because I was messaging our demo account on WhatsApp and being able to answer that inquiry straight away on help desk as well. With the second that inquiry comes through, and because WhatsApp uses either a phone number, it then matches that with the Klaviyo profile, I could just pull all my information straight away. So I say, oh, Ben's just reached out via WhatsApp channel. We know who Ben is. Here's his orders. Here's what's going on. And you have that context. And I think that's the big part about this as well. It's trying to skip that. Every time you speak to a support, you need to repeat yourself in terms of yeah.
And I just think to that point as well, like we think of ourselves, of how we engage with customers. We always want, brands to recognize who we are. And so this is what I really love about KService, is that it remembers and consolidates a person's identity, a person's interaction with that particular brand. And a lot of the customers are always asking us to be a bit more personal. So this is also a really great way for a business that is using KService to differentiate themselves from other competitors, right? Because you do have that level of personalization, and people do remember you and know your history. And that granularity is also what adds to this, Klaviyo being a B2C CRM, because we really can get granular in terms of that information.
Yeah, I'm going to probably a leading question here, and I know you're going to be biased, but what you just said, Castor, and referring back to what Marty said really early on, is it's sort of bridging that gap between bricks and mortar and online experience, and around that personalization. You turning up, then knowing what you've ordered before, what you're likely to order again, and all of those sorts of things. But how rapidly is this being and easily is this able to be deployed? And the big picture question is, where do you see the future in regards to online service capabilities and the impact that it will have for those that don't adopt this sort of integrated approach?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think if you don't adopt it now, or at least try to test it out, I think you will be left behind. And I think in terms of just think of your competitors, think of what your competitors are doing. I think you will be left behind, and you might even, lose potential customers, because customers do want to be remembered. They do want to know your history, even as simple as just remembering their name, right? And if they don't feel like they're getting that, then they might go somewhere else for a product.
Yeah, they'll go to someone who is doing it, right? Or it'll become their expectation. So when you're not doing it, they don't come back a second time.
Yeah, exactly.
The bar is being raised in regards to expectation of user experience, not just not just design.
Yeah. And I think building off that as well, and Marty, you got to it before I did as well, is, once someone has an amazing experience with where personalization of on-site and service is going, and then when they've ordered from a brand, which again doesn't have that, it's going to be like a day and night difference. You're like, wait, what do you mean I have to go and do all these things because it was so easy before for me to do this? It's going to feel like such a disconnect. And I think it's not a reduciveness, it's not a reluctance from consumers. It's very much from brands in terms of how much they opt in, because the adoption of these AI ChatGPT tools is extremely high. It's the majority now. So it's not an opt-in from a user side. It's very much brands ready to lean in. And I think the example I gave earlier, where I'm going to wait, I'll keep everyone updated, 3 days to get a return on a ticket. That if that's the norm in a couple of years, that will very much be something that is completely different to what people are expected today.
Just listening to you guys now, I liken it to the impact that Amazon had when they put that absolute commitment into minimum overnight delivery and free returns, all of that sort of stuff, and how there was just that massive swing around people choosing to use Amazon, maybe swinging back the other way now with some of the other stuff that's going on. But that is always, for such a long time now, been the benchmark that people talk about in regards to their experience of why they purchase for it through Amazon versus other channels, was the speed of things happening. And now that is just taking it to the next level in regards to the speed of real-time service.
Yeah, for me, the analogy is also things like, a few years ago, if you didn't have a website, you were missing out on sales, obviously. Soon it will be, if you're not providing a level of service that is at the expected bar or keeping up with or better than, then you'll be losing first-time and returning customers to competitors who are racing ahead with it. I mean, how often will you fill out a paper form versus a web form now if you can? Sort of similar things, right? If everything in this space sounds like, it's unavoidable and it's almost trial it, see where it fits for your business in terms of each of the pillars, because it's not an all out on everything to roll something like this out. What do you guys see as the timelines for getting something like Customer Hub, Agent, or Help Desk up and running on site? How easily can businesses do it?
Yeah, it's to be fair, it is quite easy, and I think that's the piece we've been designing for the most, and that's kind of the universal part of going with Shopify first. I think most brands and where the time will be spent will be done, one, making sure it fits the design, like it should feel like an extension of your website, which is fundamental. But two is designing those integrations as well that won't take too long to turn on. But really much, I think, designing the content blocks around what that looks like, how that experience is done, will take a bit of time. But this is very much a one-day job, I think, to get it first set up. But then you can go on ongoing and tweak it as well. For AI Agent, that one is something that is that you essentially will index your entire website first, but then you will feed it more information. And we're going to be adding two tools in particular in Q4. One of them is a tone of voice editor, where you can actually then change the tone of voice of the AI agent. The second one will be, and this is something that you manually do today, simply by checking what gets routed to a human, like when it can't answer an inquiry. And that's something called knowledge gap detection. And so the AI agent will actually be able to detect, based off the ongoing inquiries it gets, where its knowledge is lacking. So it's saying, I've had 7 inquiries on our return policy, which I can't answer. I require information. That will then prompt you to feed it more information on that topic. And it will kind of self-improve as it kind of goes as well. But even today, that is probably a one-day job to set both those on, and then just going ongoing maintenance. The fun stuff is based off the actual then data which is given to you as a marketer. So how do you build new welcome series? How do you build new flows? How do you build maybe a win-back customer experience based off an AI agent or a ticket now that you have that data? Because all those events go straight into a profile. I think that's where the time will be spent. these tools are very much very quick to set up and get going. And I think that's going to be really fun when it comes to marketers for seeing what they can now understand from the customer's intent.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to frame it. So you sort of look at it as the initial deploy on site for any of the pillars is effectively the door that you're opening up to the discussion of how do I do it better, or how do I then use this further beyond this exact point, and whether I'm using it for flow trigger, whether I'm using it for segmentation, whether I'm sending that out to paid media channels, whatever it might be. The impact on your strategy then sounds like it's a far longer journey to go through and constantly changing, whereas the initial go live is actually really achievable, which is insane to think about if you're talking about like a 1-day turnaround versus what people used to think about when they're deploying. Like imagine trying to put, even like if you're talking about putting personalization and product blocks through site a few years ago, it was far bigger than a single day to turn around, right?
And I think just to add to that, like we there's the ease of like obviously deploying it and going live, but to Ben's point, like it now gives the customer the opportunity to like be more creative in how they do those flows and those segments. You know, you can now, like now that you can get that data through KService, that's another avenue to potentially unlock revenue. So it's like, that's a really great way to also look at KService of like, yep, it's a product, but how can you actually use it to your advantage too? And I think Marty, you mentioned before, like how do you make money? And this is one way that you can potentially look at it that way.
And I think one thing that's going to be really interesting, because this is launching Shopify first, is as people become, and I think now because Shopify has become so unison across Shop Pay, you know, everyone knows when they're checking out on a Shopify store, like the experience is very much the same now. And I think what's going to be interesting, I was thinking about this while we're talking about it as well, is, and you talked about earlier around adopter and like when people adopt it or not, is people got used to functionality. For example, when you check out, ShopPay automatically recognizes you and, you know, all your details there, right? And everyone finds it really easy to use, and they really like it because it makes their life easier. I believe that same thing will then happen for stores that have Customer Hub enabled. You know, I clicked on accounts, but I go to the back end. But on that other one, I just had that experience of Customer Hub where I could see my account. Like, why is there two different types? And I think that's going to be that'll be interesting to see how people behave between the two as well. And that's actually one of the ways that I've demoed it to people. Is let's take a look at a journey right now as a customer on someone without Customer Hub, after showing them Customer Hub experience, which we've gone through, and it's like, oh, it's kind of night and day difference. It feels like it should be there the entire time through, and I think that's going to be a really great way not only for brands to see the usage of it as well, but to get people to really encourage to use it in the day-to-day, because they'll get so used to it across multiple platforms. Brands.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's I don't know how it'll play out, but it's probably one of the first times the general public will start to see and know a Klaviyo Shopify site in terms of their experience with it. And yeah, they'll start to think it's normal. They'll talk to other people about it. And before you know it, if you don't have it, I think that's the point where you suffer as a business. Like initially, yeah, it's a bump in potential customer satisfaction, average order value, conversion rate, but longer term, it's something that will hurt you if you don't. All those metrics will suffer as a result if you don't. Like, I think the days of a fast website that has, you know, barely any a lot of negative space is probably the most polite way to put it, is essentially ending, and the personalized experience, the supported shopping, and the stickiness with that customer that you're delivering that to is certainly in its next era as far as digital is concerned. Or it's kind of the way I see that rollout. Like for me, it's probably one of the most significant changes I've seen on the front end of websites that's easy to deploy and almost forever maybe. I'm certainly very keen to try to roll it out as much as possible, and the brands particularly that we work with are trying to make sure that they've got enough information to share that internally, because yes, there are people who are anti-change or anti-AI elements in their website. They don't like it personally, just like they don't like pop-ups a lot of the time, that you can have those discussions and start to deploy what we sort of refer to as a version 1. So like, what's the minimum sort of first iteration of how I would serve a customer with personalization? Let's get that live and see what it does. Can it support us? Can it make some sales? Can it, next step, can it divert some tickets? Or can we integrate to get our customer service team working in here and providing a better experience as well? We're trying to stage it that way with them so they can understand that, you can go all in, and we work with plenty of businesses who will, and they will just jump in everything and they'll take the lot. But then there's a lot more that are saying, well, how does this play out? What if someone comes into my physical store? Can I look up their profile? Can my store team help them in the same way? Can they access similar information? I think that's probably something quite cool that might play out over time as well.
Yeah, and just before we wrap up, I think one of the other things that stops adoption of new technology and things like that, especially when it looks as comprehensive as this, is pricing. And I think it is a bit of a genius strategy that Klaviyo has put in place in and around the pricing. Do you want to maybe talk us through the pricing strategy for it? Because I think it's freaking brilliant and around how it is making it affordable no matter what size business.
Yeah, and so we've gone through and broken out them into, because they are 3 separate products, and that's probably one you can keep in mind. But Customer Hub is very much based off your active profiles. So how many profiles do you actively have on Klaviyo today as well? That then is based off, and probably the easiest way to think about that is it's roughly about 10% of what you pay for your email plan. And we think that the incremental revenue gains and the deflection off service teams will easily provide an ROI of whatever that cost would be. This cost could be maybe 200 New Zealand a month potentially for a larger brand. Sometimes smaller brands maybe 80, and that's going to be very much an easy entry point as well. Our AI conversation or AI agent will be very much based off conversation, so that's not like a hi hello. That's very much an ongoing conversation that it was able to answer that inquiry about a human. If that was not able to be answered and then passed off to a human, that would then translate to a ticket, and tickets are then based off a per ticket basis, very similar to your similar software like Gorgeous and Zendesk as well. And all that pricing is live on the website. And the last thing I'll say on that is, because we've launched a new product, we've done an early adopter discount. So if you jump on now and adopt it by the end of the year, we'll actually lock you into the special pricing for the foreseeable future, as long as you're paying for that product in particular. So right now is a really great way to lock in a good price on some of the new products. So you can jump on today and try them all out. And the best thing I've got as well is there's trials available for all of it. So everyone can jump, do a 30-day trial, test out the product, prove the return of it, and then lock into a full plan before the end of the year.
Yeah, and just with the free trial, it's a good opportunity to obviously test if you like it. And if you are interested, reach out to us. We're happy to put you in touch and get you set up. And it's pretty, as Ben mentioned, it's pretty easy to get sorted onto the free trial ASAP.
Yeah. It's. I think that trial's been a really interesting experience for me with businesses that we work with, because it's a trial across departments. You've got a front-end developer making sure they're happy with how it plays out on site and they're doing a bit of styling through it. Then you've got people in the marketing team, you've got people in the e-com team, and then you're starting to have conversations with people in the customer service team about what's next for them. So that trial period is basically the get alignment across your business, see what this thing's capable of, and then where are you happy to go live with from that point. And it's a really interesting one to play out, because normally when we talk SMS or we talk email a lot of the time, there's 1 or 2 sign-off points max, but there's a lot of cross-departmental kind of opinions and buy-in required, depending on how deep you go with this thing. But I like that you've got the pillars that you can dive into to say, yes, I want to start with Hub, then I want to move into Agent and Help Desk, and maybe early next year. Depends how quickly my team adopts or how happy we are with it. Give yourself the options, I think, and at least know what you're missing out on. Otherwise, there's literally nothing to lose from it.
Yeah, and our free trials are 30 days, and when you work with our teams as well, we can provide you checklists and bullet points on how you can best maximize the free trial as well. So we are here to obviously support to make sure that you champion that new product within your team as well. So those resources are available.
And what I like about it, especially when you use someone that's got some Klaviyo experience to do the setup, and it's in under a day. It is a true 30-day trial. It's not, I'm going to sign up and it's going to take me 20 days to get the damn thing sorted out, and then I've got the limited experience. It's sign up, set live, make a couple of tweaks, but you've got a decent amount of time to actually prove that ROI on it.
Exactly right. And it gives, and like we said before, it gives the customer the opportunity to be well, now how can I create those flows or those campaigns and those emails because, as Ben mentioned, it's set and deploy, right?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure, an eye-opener for me as well, getting my first look through the demo site. I really do appreciate you taking the time. I'm super excited about the future with KService, and keep up the great work. We will catch up again soon because I know there will be more stuff coming through the pipeline.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Amazing.
It's great to chat. Take care.